is I should share my screen. Okay. Let me share my screen. So the topic today is strings. Okay. This is very useful topic. But before that, let me start with what we call data structures. Okay. What is data structure or collection? Let me give some idea. And later on from there, we jump to what different data structures we have in Python. Okay. And then we try to focus more on all this. Okay. And how to play left and right with all these data structures. Okay. I'll bring in useful use cases. Maybe you can also try to solve it, which enhances your thinking. Okay. So that's what it is. I am trying to share the screen. And also at the same time, just a minute. I don't want again to distract you people. So let me open material as well so that yeah. So I'm sharing my screen so that just confirm if my screen is visible to all of you or not. Okay. Mostly I just use this, this material as a reference, but I will try to, go through the topic with our own flow. With wherever it is needed, I'll take examples. We'll just use it just for a quick reference. That's all. Okay. That is fine. So now we'll start with today. This is our running notes thing. So what is string or strings in Python? Let's understand this in detail. Okay. So first thing is we have already some introduction, a quick introduction while discussing the topic data structures. Okay. What is a string and why do we need string and how to declare strings? All that is discussed while talking about data types in Python. But it's okay. What I'll do is I'll again try to recap all that so that you will be comfortable with the concept of strings. Before that, so this we need to understand data structure thing, or we need to understand what is collection. Okay, this thing we should first let's start with this. Later on we'll switch to strings again. Then after that list and then tuple and then set and dictionary, all that with number of use cases. It's a very useful, and these are core heart of your Python. In fact, if I say that what is data structures means, I can with lot of confidence I can tell data structures are nothing but it is a heart of Python, because anywhere if you implement any big project, these data structures plays very important role. Okay, because I do automations regularly. So the point is, I I will and I have to use these data structures. Okay, I should actually. What the exact statement is, I should and I need to use these data structures every day in my automations. Okay, because we are from DevOps team. The main this thing of DevOps is automation. So wherever there is manual thing, we should just change to the automation. For that, definitely, I use a lot of data structures. I'll tell you which data structures I use very frequently. I mean, the most popular data structures which I keep using in my automations or in my Python coding. I'll let you know all that also. Maybe you can answer the same in interviews if you are attending any interviews. Sometimes they ask what kind of data structures you have used. So to answer that, I'll share my experience. I don't share about my project or anything, but I'll share like what I am using, how I am using, how we are implementing. All that I'll share with you so that that helps you to handle interview with a lot of confidence. Got it right? Okay, fine. Now, what is a data structure means? Generally, data structure is representation of group of data in some order. Okay. Arranging, simply speaking, data structures are nothing but data structures are used to, I just put DS to just represent data structures. Why we use them is are used to organize and okay, arrange data in some proper order. Organize and arrange data in proper order. So that is the purpose of data structures. That is first thing. Second thing is generally data structures handle group of data or large volumes of data. So what these data structures do is data structures are used to store, in fact, we can say store large volumes of data. Because you can ask me a question. So is it true that we use large volumes of data, Manoram? My answer is definitely yes. Because while dealing with data in real time, in a project, whatever project it might be, you take list or you take some dictionary. Sometimes this list might have some lakhs of objects. Sometimes dictionary also might have some thousands of key value pairs. Sometimes string might have a big paragraph of data. Like that might have 1,000 lines or even sometimes 2,000 lines of data. It depends actually. Okay, I didn't deal with the strings very much with that large quantities of data. I use strings. It's not like I don't use strings, but the point is, so I didn't do any kind of this kind of what is that string analysis, like like forecasting, like this string searching, all that. This in Google search you do. How many hits are there for some text? All that. That kind of analysis, I am not into that kind of analysis. We are more into automation. Definitely, we deal a lot with strings. But the volume of data we deal with is here is more of what is that is uh, this list. We try to store large volumes of data into the list, and strings will be there. Not that many lines of code. Okay, we have simple strings in the form of project names or something. Okay, that's like that. So, but the point here is finally, what is I'm giving you an idea, like how would it be, how exactly it would be when you are working, all that I'm trying to share with you, okay, so that it helps you to handle your interviews. So, data structures are used to store large volumes of data. That is one more important thing. And the advantage by using data structures is it's easy to store and manage data. So, one more advantage is easy to store and manage data. What do you mean by manage data? Means doing some operations on that data. What operations we can do on these data structures, like reading, like writing or updating. You can say that. Okay, I'll talk. You understand all this, writing or you can say updating data. Like whatever operations usually we do in SQL. But in SQL, we do with queries. Here we do with certain methods to do some operations on these data structures. Okay, writing or update and then reading, writing. Then what else you can do? Updating in sense, you might assume it as appending, and then deleting. You can also do deletion. Okay, deleting data from some data structures. And also one more is uh, generally we do read, write, delete, and select. Maybe, sorry, even read also can be a select operation. Read or select, write or update and delete. Okay. These operations we keep doing on these data structures. You got it right, friends. So this is the basic idea. Finally, what is the idea about data structures? They are used to store large volumes of data and arrange that data in proper order. And also, what is that? And it's easy to manage, store and manage data. Understood now? So that is the idea, friends. Now, how many what core data structures we have in Python? That is next question. So next question is, what are the core data structures? If someone is asking this question, okay, what are the core data structures we have in Python? So there are many, but I will highlight the very important data structures which we use in our day-to-day development and which are also useful for your Python interviews. Okay. So for that, the answer is first thing string, because most of the time you get data in the form of strings. Okay. Next thing, list. You use a lot of lists in your day-to-day development. Then tuple. Even we use tuple in many places. Right. Next one. And then set. Set I don't see using much in my automations. Okay. But I use a lot of list strings, tuple to some level. Okay. Set I don't use much. Dictionary I use a lot. Generally, I just play with the dictionary, list, and string combinations. I play a lot of these combinations. Of course, tuple, I told you, right? To some level. In some cases, I just deal with tuple. That's all. Is this clear for all of you, friends? Right? Can you see my screen? All of you are clear with my screen and everything? Is it visible? Audio, everything is fine, right? Just you can just give me a hand, thumbs up. That would be enough for me to just share your this thing, okay? Right? Or you can answer in the chat also, no problem. You can interact with me. It's not like these sessions, as I mentioned in our group, okay, are interactive. And what we need is we need to utilize this and make sure your skills are improving. That is the major goal here. Okay, fine. These are all important things. And it depends again about the requirement. There are situations where we might use set as well or tuple as well. It all about the problem and about the need and kind of project you are handling. All that depends. Okay. But for interview, you can tell that you have played with lot of strings and lists and dictionary. And in future, I'll build some POCs. In that POCs, I'll show you how to deal all that kind of this thing, so that helps you to handle or manage interviews. You got it right. So that is the idea. So now let us jump to the strings now. But my point is, to play with all this, what I understood is I actually thought of going with this strings topic now. But while I just before this, I mean half an hour back or 40 minutes, I logged into Hacker Rank and I just started solving some problems because I generally like coding these days a lot. Okay. Then I understood the importance. What I understood is, if we cover functions first and then these topics later, so that you get lot of hands-on experience with coding. So we can properly organize coding into this thing with if you have good idea about functions. You got it right. So my point is, if you start with functions and discuss functions and complete that and come back to that, so working with all these data structures as if you are working in a project can be simple for us. You got it right. So shall I do one thing then? I'll do one thing. I just changed my opinion. You can see these are all problems I brought for you only so that you can also play with all this. Okay. Or you can go to direct hacker rank. It's not like it's an open secret, right? So you can also play with them. But I bought these samples for because so that to give more deeper understanding of coding, like how to implement it, how to think and all that. Okay. What important scenarios are covered, everything here, so that even all that is covered in our session or not, just to make sure I put all these samples here. Got it right? you can understand how much this thing I'm taking into these sessions. Okay. Now the topic I will just do is we'll start with functions, so that once we deal with functions, we can start with this data structure so that we can implement our coding by combining functions as well as this data structure. So that you can create a proper application or a proper use case which can be helpful for you to build projects in your day-to-day developments. Okay, so fine. Let's start with functions then I'll jump to these topics. Okay, what is a function then? Let's do it. Simple, friends, right? Functions means or methods, we can call these as methods as well. Okay, anything should be fine. What is a function or a method? I'll just give you a quick idea. A function is something which is used to I mean, suppose there is some repetitive code. To avoid that repetition of code, what we can do is we can use functions. Functions is a module which avoids repetition of code. So what is that? A function is a module. What it does? Which avoids repetition of code. Okay. Repetition of a code. That's what we call a function. Or we can call it as a subprogram instead of module. You also use another synonym for this, which is you call it as subprogram. Okay, which avoids repetition of code. REPEATL, is this correct? This word, right? Repetition of code. So that is one thing. Generally, somewhere, when you are using same logic again and again, in such cases, instead of writing that logic in many places, if you just put that logic in a function and call that function, that is much more optimized. Okay, so that kind of optimization is very much needed when you are working in day-to-day projects again, when you are working in a real-time project. Okay, so this is function here. Simply speaking, it's just a sub module or a sub program where you just put your regular code into that. We have implemented so many use cases, right, in last couple of days, if you remember, using decision making statements, using while and for, we have implemented so many use cases. All that programs actually we have to implement with functions. As we didn't discuss function topic, so we just implemented those programs in a free form of coding. You got it right. We just use that is called free style of coding. But when you get into a project, you cannot just write code like that. Always, for everything, for a small task or a big task or whatever task it might be, you need to add as many functions as needed, depends on your need and logic. You got it right. So that is the important thing. What is function here is it is a subprogram, right, which avoids repetition of code. Right, next one. So whenever you see some code is getting, you are writing same code again and again. In such cases, simple idea is just put that code in a function and just call that function, so that you avoid that unnecessary repetition here. So the point here is understood. Many people write functions, but we should also understand why we are using it. So general the important importance of using functions is to avoid repetition of code. Okay. Again, in inheritance, we use something called to avoid redundancy of data. People might get confused. When I go to OOP topic, I'll tell redundancy of data is different. Repetition of code is different. Repetition of code means it's nothing but avoiding repeat statements, declaring same statements again and again. Data means it's about variables. So that difference I'll give a very clear clarity. But as of now, this is about repetition of code, not about data. Just keep in mind. Okay, that is one thing. Next one. What is another advantage with functions? We can break down. I'm writing here because I want everyone to understand the need and necessity of everything. We can break down a large program into small programs, small chunks of programs, large programs into small chunks of programs. And these small chunks, we can call them as, what do we call them as? We can call them as functions. Okay, that is fine. What else? Generally, I don't think people ask much questions about functions, but you can expect a lot of questions here in data structures. Sometimes they ask you to write code and show in some kind of interviews. The goal is to handle everything. Or if they ask you, see where we don't answer in interviews is they if sometimes they directly come and ask what data structures you have used regularly in the project. Then we are not prepared for such questions. Then easily your interviewer can understand that whether you are working or not, or whether you have worked or not. So for that, so that is where we are going to focus and make sure that we try to cover 360 degrees so that you don't have issues. If you have still a problem, just come to me and ask me. I try to answer as much as possible. Okay. So that is another important thing. But for functions, I doubt people ask too many questions. Okay. So, but using functions is very important. So what is the purpose here? We can break down large programs into small chunks of programs using functions, nothing but. Next one. Another important advantage with functions is what is that? We can clearly build a modularization. Functions inculcate. Functions involves modularization. Our function provides modularization that is very much needed when you are really working in a real-time project. Here at learning, we might write a program, some 100 lines or 150 lines even in just one program, but is not at all recommended. You should know how to split your program, how to add proper methods or functions. That is important. Next one. Sorry. Okay, debugging becomes easy with functions. Another important thing. Okay. So when you know which function is that, you can you can directly go to that function and you can fix your error and then again rerun it again. Debugging becomes easy with functions. That is one more. You got it all right. So this is all idea about what function is, why we need. Also, it reduces length of your program. Functions reduces what it reduces. Just a minute, friends.
Your voice not audible.
Oh, sorry. Thanks for reminding Prasad, right?
Yes.
Okay. No, I think I was in mute, right? Yeah. Thanks for that. Otherwise, we would have been in mute for some more time. Yeah. Somehow I have a sore throat, not sure. See here. I'm just asking a quick question. So all of you are okay with all this stuff, right? Clear with what is functional, that, right? And just a quick idea of what core data structures we have, all that. Then next one is types of functions. We'll just close this now. So once we do this, then I'll jump to what is that? I'll jump to the data structures topic so that we can use the data structures in these functions, or we implement the data structures using functions, which helps you to implement a proper coding. Okay. Sorry, friends. So finally, intro is clear for all of you, right? Let's, there are two types of functions here. Okay. What is that? Generally, most of you have some idea, but I'll just try to finish it quickly. One is default functions. Okay, maybe you can simply say function, otherwise two types of functions, right? Default function. Second one is parameterized, but it is so simple in Python. What is that? Parameterized function. Yeah, For written tests, for certifications, there are scenarios which you need to focus on functions actually. Yes, I told that maybe in interview, people might not ask many questions, but there are certain areas where even you might expect few questions on functions in interviews about the parameter types in functions. That is a very what is that important topic for functions in Python, right? Okay, so we have some default arguments and then some parameterized and then some and two more types I remember, positional parameters. Okay, so like that we have some three or four types of varieties and we need to understand all those varieties in detail. Okay, fine. First of all, let's understand what is a default function. Okay, so this is a function without parameters. First, let me quickly give you definition. Function without parameters is a default function. That is one thing. So next one, the syntax look like this, friends. What is the syntax of this function here? In Python, you have to declare function by using a keyword def. Means define. It's nothing but our definition. Anything should be fine. So def, then you have to provide that function name. Okay, and put parenthesis colon and then some statements inside this. So you should have some statements. You can remove state comment and then you have to add that. Okay, don't put your statements with comments. Okay, so then you have to add statements. So this is how you have to declare a function in Python. Okay, for example, a simple function. Okay, example. I am just taking a simple example. What is that example? Hello world. Say hello. So say hello. Generally, the recommended is functions usually in lowercase, usually the names. But in some projects, I see that people are using camel case as well like this. Okay. So you follow whatever you think it's your team is following or that project people are following. Usually we can name functions all the whole name in lowercase separated with underscores. That is one thing usually we follow. Or else in some kind of projects, people might follow this camel cases. It's up to us. Okay. Next one after that is I'm creating this example here. What is that example? How to create a function? Say hello. Simple. Def. Just say hello and then put parenthesis. Because this is default, you can see in this parenthesis you don't have any parameters here in this brackets. If in this brackets if you don't pass any parameters, then such function we call it as what do we call this as, friends? We call it as a default function, a function without parameters. Okay. Next one, put colon and just print. What is that print you should use here? Print. So hello. That's all, friends. Hello. How are you today? Something. Just giving a quick this thing here. So this is how you create a function in Python. But if it is a real time project, we just don't use print statements. We have a lot of logic inside these functions. Okay, even we build such kind of simulations. Okay, even though we don't directly do something a project here, but we try to have that kind of simulation in our sessions. So this is an example here. But if you just create a function like this, let me go to the PyCharm now and just create here in the project. Just create, right click and then say new Python package and name this as what function, so that each topic will have related programs under that package. Okay, now right click new and then create a file. Okay, right click on this Python package, then new Python file. Here you can give name of that function as say hello function. Okay, then this is your function here. Just define a function. So first thing is we are creating a default function. What is the default function? It doesn't have any parameters. So now what function you are creating here? Say hello function. So that is our function here. Now how do you create it? Def. This is how you should create functions in Python. And PyCharm is much more simpler. When you are using PyCharm, it makes your job much easier. Okay, def say hello, because it has a lot of intelligence. It's automatically it provides auto support, so that your development becomes simple and easier. Fine. Then you just need to print something, pass a statement under that function, and just say here what is that. Simply speaking, hello. Okay, how are you today? Something you can add anything. Okay, it's not like the statement can be anything here. Okay, so that's all, friends. Okay, at least one statement that should be declared under a function. Okay, I will ask a quick question after this, after testing this code. Now, once we create function, this is how we define function in Python. This is okay. But once we create function, it won't run by itself. Suppose if I right click and say that, say hello, you don't get any output here, right? Why? Because if a function should work, or if a function should get executed, defining function is one thing. Second thing is, this is actually we are defining a function. So, or creating a function, simply speaking, declaring a function. Okay, that is fine. Declaration is one thing. Okay, and implementing function is one thing. Implementing means having code inside that. Second thing is calling is also equally important. Calling a function. Then the question is, so we are creating function or declaring function. We followed syntax, right? We followed syntax, and then we created it. That is fine. Just we should have a def keyword. After that, any name. This is user defined. You can provide any meaningful name here. Okay. And then parentheses should be there for a function. After that, you have to create statements in that function by following proper indentation. So this is fine. We are okay. But how to call that function? So how to call a function. Simple. Any function, we just need, I'm giving you syntax how to call a function here itself. Right? This is the syntax. Simply that function name followed by parentheses. That's all. You just need to call. If I should call this function, just use this name of function. Okay, come down here and then just place it here. And then that's all. This is a function call. So you can see the syntax here, function name. That's all. You don't need any semicolon or colon or anything here. If you are calling a function, don't try to put any semicolon or anything, because we don't need that in Python, like in C, C++ or Java. Okay, so this is a simple program. What is this program? To talk about or to demonstrate what is a default function. Okay, and how to create it and how to call it, all this. I'll just do a debugging for you, quick debugging. Before that, what I do is I'll run this program once. Let's test it if it is working fine or not. Else, we will refine it. Okay, right click and then add, say hello. It is working. We got the output. So program is working perfect. Okay, this is a perfect program. This is fine. Maybe if you want, you can also try to what? You can also, what you can do, test it quickly along with me. My suggestion is keep testing with me if you want better test experience. Maybe if you want me to wait also, I'll wait. Do you understand, right? So that is the point, friends. Got it now? Now, let's get to this thing. We ran this program. This is fine. Quickly, let me debug this program and show you the execution flow. Okay, because this debugging is very much needed when you are working in a real-time project. Another important thing is, so let me give you all different coding standards you should follow when you are working in a real-time project. Okay. Say I'm using, because I do that regularly in my day-to-day work. And you also need to follow that. Just we are doing some learning. We should not just learn the topic. To that topic, whatever that is needed, we have to apply that. Then only tomorrow when you start doing development, so it becomes much more easier for you. Do you understand my point? So you don't feel it like you're doing something really new. You feel it something you already know something. So those standards you follow, friends. Okay. See, like doing comment, adding comments. Okay. Following proper standards, naming standards. See, I told you, right? You can follow a camel case for function names, or else what you can do. Otherwise, generally recommended is you have to, you can declare a function name completely in lowercase followed by proper underscores. So this is how we can build in both ways. It's up to you, right? I gave you two approaches of naming standards in Python. Okay. And still, if you want, just go to Google and check naming standards to define Python. But this is what you should follow. Okay. This is fine. Here, if you make a change here, make sure you also make the same change with function call as well. Okay, make that change whatever you have done for function. Also update this one here. Okay, just a minute. Sorry, friends. See here, the point is this function name and function call should match. And Python is case sensitive. Case sensitive means any change in cases will assume that that is a different one. So make sure you are following cases, everything properly in Python. Okay, a small change in case also makes a difference to both of them. That is the idea, friends. Okay, say now what I have to do, if I make that change, I should say hello here. So these are all important things you have to follow. But this is a simple program. So for this program, you don't need to add another standard is adding exception handling. Whenever you implement a code, you must and should add that error handling to your code. That is very important again. So I'll start using it from, okay, once we do some any logic, simple logic as well. I'll show you how to add exception handling or error handling because it is so simple. You also start doing the same, right? These are the standards we must follow when you're working in any project with whatever it might be. Okay, so finally, let me run this after making change to the function name here. I'm testing the code one more time. See here. Hello, how are you today? Same thing. But I have just shown you how maybe the standards you should follow while naming your methods as well. Okay. This is the idea, friends. Next one, put a debugger and just check or see the execution flow of the program. So where should I put the debugger here? Should I put with the function definition or should I put the breakpoint here with at this function call? Where should I put a debugger? I mean breakpoint. So okay, any answer in the chat box? Generally, we should add debugger at your
Function call.
function call. Okay. So put a debugger here. Now run your code. How to run? Run your code in debug mode. Don't directly run. If you directly run, it won't debug. Again, once you put a breakpoint, you have to choose debug that program name here. See here, write that. Okay, debug it. Now it started debugging. You can see here. Now it is waiting at function call. Now what I want to get into this function and see the execution flow in that function. Again, I want to come back to the caller. This is caller, what we call, and this is function. Generally, control jumps from caller to the function. Understood now? In this program, there are two parts, actual function and then function call. And this function call, you can call it as a caller as well. Now, what do you do? Let's apply this debugging steps here. So this is step over. This won't work if you are debugging a function. Then what is that I should do? I should apply this one here. Step into if it is a function call or a method call, you have to choose this debugging option if you want to get into that function and if you want to debug that function. So I want to get into that function and I want to debug that function. So what is that I should do? click on this step into. You can see that the control jumped from line, what is this, 12 to line 7, where your function is. Now you can see the control inside function. Now what is that? Here you don't need to say again step into. Here you don't use this again. It's not needed. What is that I should do? I can simply say step over now, right? When I say step over, it executed this hello, this print statement, and again the control is written back to the caller. So this is how the execution flow happens between a function call and a function. There will be control jumps happening internally from function call to a function and vice versa, function to function call. And you go to the console. Now go and see, you have some console somewhere here. Okay, where is it? Not terminal. We want, yeah, sorry, it is here on. See, if you go and check in the console, by the time it printed this print statement, we can see the output in the console. Got it right? So this is the idea, friends. Finally, what is that? You can just say one more time step over, the execution completes and the end of the program happens here. Okay, your program ends here. That's it, friends. So this is the idea how to put debuggers or breakpoints and how to debug your code when you are using functions. So this is needed in your day-to-day activity, day-to-day tasks if you are working in development. Okay, this is the idea, friends. So about default function and how to add debugging to your functions and how to put breakpoints, everything. Okay, next one. What is that I want? Another one is a parameterized function. Okay, so let's see parameterized function type 2. Two types, right? First one is default. We discussed that. Second one, parameterized. What is parameterized? Simple. A function with parameters. A function with parameters. And we use this parameterized function a lot in majority of the cases. Suppose you have 100 functions, at least 95 functions will be parameterized. Trust me. So that is the need of that much need of that much need we have for parameterized functions. You got it right, because I see that most of the time we implement functions or methods. We need these most of in majority of the cases. In many cases we need to use parameterized functions. You got it right. So that is the importance of parameterized functions here. This is fine. Now what do you do? Go to the first syntax. Let's quickly get the syntax here. What is the syntax here? Simple, again, same. See, almost the syntax of default function and parameterized function is same. We don't have big difference. But only thing is, if it is parameterized function, right? What is that we have inside this brackets? We have parameters, something like parameters are nothing but variables only, local variables. Okay. So variable 1, comma, variable 2, comma, variable 3, comma. You can add how many other variables you want, right? You can variable 3, comma, dot, 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 colon, and then you need to add statements inside that. Okay. And fine, that's all. This is how we create a parameterized function. Within these brackets, you need to declare parameters like as variables. Okay. So, or sorry, the variables as parameters. I told reverse. So, okay. We should pass variables as parameters and then statements as usual in the program. So this is a parameterized function. And these variables here in these brackets, we call them as local variables. What variables? I'll talk more about it again. Okay. But for now, remember local. I'll give a little detailing on this, but just remember for now, these are local variables because in Python, we have three types of variables, I believe. Global variables, local variables, and then instance variables, and then static variables, I hope, or class variables. So 4 or 5 types of variables exist in Python. Okay. Instance, static, all that belongs to OOP, object oriented programming. When we go there, we'll talk about all that. Okay, but here in this functions topic, we have two types, local variables and global variables. Local means variables declared inside a function or passed as parameters. Okay, these variables are called local variables. Got it right? If you pass variables as parameters or if you declare variables inside a function, such variables are called local variables. Okay, I'll talk more about it. What is the scope of that local variables, right? So all that we discuss. Now, fine. This is the idea, friends, about parameterized function and the syntax of parameterized function, and then what are local variables, how to declare them, all that. Next, after that, how to call a parameterized function. Maybe I'll just quickly copy this and paste here. Okay, that is what generally we do most of the time if you are in development. Copy paste. But that is not an easy job. People might say that just copy and paste, but that needs a lot of expertization. Okay. Now next one. How to call simple, right? Function name, no doubt about that. And then in these brackets, you have to pass values. Value 1, comma, value 2, comma. In this call or otherwise, in this function call, we have to pass values. Value 2, comma, value 3, comma, dot, dot, dot. Okay, this is how you should call a parameterized function, same as almost default function. But the only thing is with parameterized function, you have parameters with function. So if you see parameters, then while calling that function, we should pass values with that function call. How many values you should pass here? It depends on number of parameters you declare with a function. If function have two parameters, you should pass two values. If it has three parameters, you should pass three values. If it is four parameters, you should have four values, but you don't need to use any data type here. Again, this is advantage with functions in Python. So like in Java, you don't need to say data type variable one, data type variable two, all that. That is not needed because these are dynamically typed. Your Python interpreter automatically decides what type should be the variable based on value you pass to that variable. You got it right? That is the idea. Let's take one example, quick, simple example, just to understand parameterized function. I'll do one thing. I'll just do a small program to print two strings. What I do? To print two strings and combine them. The simple example is print two strings. Okay. And sorry. So I create a function to pass two strings and then I print combining them and print combining them. So what shall I do? Combining those, combining two strings. This is the small program we are doing with functions. See, I told you, right? For strings also, if you use functions, your understanding level improves and the implementation capacity increases. That's why I just asked this. I just thought to first quickly cover this functions topic and then jump to strings, all the data structures. Now let us just create example. So what is that we should do? Simple DEF, some combine. Okay. As we are doing combining strings, combine, right? Maybe I can directly create as strings. My function name is that. Then what is that I should do? Combine str1, comma, I need to pass two parameters. I'm passing like this. So what is the logic I should create now? I should combine these two while printing. So simply print. What is that? Maybe you give some, okay, hello world, okay, and then combine hello world into one word, okay. Sorry, print those two strings with the, okay, print those two strings with this by combining them. How? Print. So this one, hello, and then second string here, okay, world. And then what you have to do, apply a format function here. Format. Finally, what? str1, comma, str2. This is how we can simply create a function, just taking two strings as parameters and just use a print to combine both of them into one this thing. You can see now when you see the output, you can observe the result. Okay, this is a simple program, how to take two strings as input, I mean as parameters, and then how to merge them or combine them here. Okay, with this print statement. We are combining with print. If you ask me, if you ask to combine both strings into one string, that is a different program again. Okay, I'm just combining them while printing in print statement. Okay, got it right? This is the idea. What we do is let's copy this here, go to the PyCharm, and here create a new Python file here. That file is you can say combine parameterized function. Just check it as parameterized MP. Okay, parameterized YAML. And we create proper names when we are while we are doing meaningful logics. Okay, and then what do you do? Just copy that program here. Maybe you can add. So what is the logic here? Take two strings. Just always make sure you add logic while you are creating that. Okay, and combine two strings while printing. Combine two strings. I'll just simplify this by strings while printing. So in that print statement, you just need to combine and print. That's all. Now I did that. Finally, what is that I should do now? I have to create a, I should add a function call. How to add it? Combine strings. I need to pass two strings here. The first one is hello, okay, comma. The second one is also a string, which is nothing but world. The second one is, sorry, I think it's some hello world. So this is the program. Okay. So that's all. This is a parameterized function. And then we took two parameters and we are passing two parameters to this parameterized function. You can see here through function call. Right? Let's test it now. So what do we do? So here the first parameter is always pass it to first argument here. First value otherwise here. Even here also we call them as parameters. Even in with function we call them as parameters. This first value is copied to first parameter. Second value is copied to second parameter. As we have two parameters here, we should pass two values through function call. If we pass more than two or less than two, you get a compilation error. So run this now. You can see hello world. It got combined, right? See, by applying this placeholders, you can see this comes very handy. Just practice this, understand this and apply it and just become familiar with this. Even this is very much useful when you are doing development for testing purpose. Okay, this is the idea, friends. Understood now? So, but again, I'll try to let me add something to this. This is not actually a right way of creating functions. Now we covered both scenarios about default functions and parameterized functions. But if you are again working in a real-time project, right? Most of the time, what people do is they don't just print and just leave it like that. Most of the time, what I'm saying, maybe there are a few exceptions in some scenarios, but most of the time, functions should return value. They should not just print it and keep calm. When you create a function, declare a function, you should implement some logic inside that. After implementing that logic, whatever result that logic produces, that you should return back to the caller. That is very much necessary. Very much necessary, friends. So this in most of the cases I am saying, maybe there are here and there we might have few exceptions. It is fine. So this is the idea, friends. Okay, about I'm just giving you the standard. We follow that. We are going to work with many programs. In that programs, I'll show you. And next program is how to return a value from a function. Okay, this is case two, scenario two. What is a parameterized function? How to create it? How to pass parameters? How to do a little quick combining of two parameters in this program? And how to pass values through caller. So this is all about this one. Okay. And debugging simple. I'm just doing a quick debugging. Put a breakpoint with color. See here. Debug this. And then I want to step into function. Choose which option. Step into F7. Then it get into that function. And the the greatest advantage with the PyCharm is once you are doing debugging, you can put a cursor here. When you put a cursor, it clearly shows what is there in that value. Or you can see here, when you are debugging, it shows here what value is in str1, what value is copied to str2. And based on that, you can conclude or you come to a conclusion if your values are being passed properly or not. You can confirm otherwise. If your values are passed as expected, or is there any malpractice happening here? That you can fix it quickly by checking, by looking at these values here. Okay, that is the quick this thing, friends. Quick update on this. Okay. Finally, what you can simply say step over. This time you don't need to say step into, just say step over. That will execute, print and return back. You can also see the output at the same time here in the console. Once that prints get executed, that output will be passed to the console and you can see that here. Okay. And finally, step over, execution completes, and that is the end of execution. Okay. We are done with parameterized functions here. That is scenario 2. Now one more scenario. What is that one more scenario? Oh, sorry. One more scenario is how to return a value from a function. This is another important thing. There is so much of discussion. Okay. Value from a function. How do you return a value? Syntax is simple. Okay. One thing like in C, C++, here, what is that? If it is C or C++, we cannot return multiple values. Okay. But in Python, you can return multiple values at a time in Python. But it doesn't, it won't, it is not possible in C or C++ or Java. Maybe that is possible with some kind of using array or some collection or something, but not direct returning. But in Python, what happens? You can return multiple values. So point is, in Python, we can return a single value, one value, or multiple values. It's up to you. What happens in Python? We can return a single value or multiple values. It's up to us. Multiple values. Just keep this point in mind. But if you do the same thing in C, C++, Java, you get an error. You get an error. Okay. Maybe if you want, I can quickly show you also. That is the idea. Just remember how you want to return your values. It depends on your logic, of course. Okay. But generally, we can return a single value in Python from a function, or else we can return multiple values from a function. It's up to us. I'll show you two use cases for both scenarios. Okay. Now, but what is the syntax here? Syntax is simple. Simply, you can say that return some value or var name. Anything is fine. You can return directly a value or you can return a variable also. Variable name. Okay. If you want R, you can simply say like this in Python. What is it? Return value 1, comma, value 2, comma, dot, dot, dot. This is possible in Python. Means returning multiple values. Maybe in place of values, if you want, you can put variables as well. It's up to you. So this is the another important thing. Let us implement a simple program to test on these two use cases. Okay, let's go to the PyCharm. So I'll create one more program. What is that? You will just name this as return demo so that every program is clear to use to check it later. So first thing, what we do a simple program to find sum of two numbers. That is first program. What is that we do? Program to find sum of two numbers with one function. Okay. We create two functions. We'll go one by one, step by one. Function one, find sum of two numbers. Okay. This is the problem. I'm creating two functions. The problem is this. What is the problem? Creating two functions. Function one, what it does? Function one is used to find the sum of two numbers. Okay. Function two, it performs multiple arithmetic operations. What is that? It performs sum, comma, okay, maybe subtraction or multiplication, whatever you want. Few, two or three is enough. If you want, you can do all arithmetic operations. But second function is to do some arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, and multiplication. That is enough for us. Now, in the first case, this returns just one value. Function one returns just only that addition, sum, returns one value. In the second case, function two returns multiple values. What it returns? It returns multiple values. So that's all, friends. So let's create two use cases to test these two problems. You got it right? DEF, some, you can create some addition. Okay, because this is a straightforward, what is this? A straightforward operation. Okay, so just to pass two variables a comma b, sum of two numbers, that would be fine. It's up to you how many variables you want, but two is enough for us. And then some, you can say c equal to a plus b, and then return c. Generally, we can do directly. I'm just showing you step by step as a. So this is a simple program to find sum of two numbers. I didn't provide name sum because sum is there is a built-in method sum. So just not to have conflict, I just put this as addition. Okay. The same thing you can see here. I did addition of two numbers and I'm simply returning that result here. And how many values I am returning here? Just return space that variable name. I'm just passing one variable here and we are returning one variable. The same thing we can simplify this. Suppose you are familiar, you are not a beginner of programming, you are an expert. These kind of things you can simply say return a plus b. So instead of using third variable, you can just simplify this code by just saying return a plus b. But for now, we'll go step by step only. So you add these two numbers and assign it to this variable c, and then return that resultant variable. What is that resultant variable c here? We are done with one function, which returns just one value. So this function is returning what? Function returns just one value. Okay, let's create one more function which returns multiple value. Def. So I just put it as a okay arith operations. Instead of full name, I just gave arith means arithmetic operations, parenthesis. I just take two parameters here. That is enough to perform either addition or subtraction or multiplication. So simply again, make sure I'm doing first thing is addition. So my variable is addition equal to some add equal to simply I just say a plus b. And second thing is second variable is some diff. What is my second variable? I do subtraction diff equal to a minus b. Third one product multiplication. I'm doing a into b. So these logics are very simple. So I created one more method, parameterized method with two parameters, which is performing couple of arithmetic operations here. Now all these resultant variables, whatever we have, I should return all these variables in one shot, in one go. Okay. Simply you should say return add comma diff comma prod. This is what you should do. Right. When you say this, what happens? You can see here, I am returning multiple values from this function. Okay. This function is doing some arithmetic operation. Function returns what it returns multiple values. So multiple values here. But actually what happens is internally if you pass three values here, all these three values are first converted to something called tuple. Just remember this. Don't try to understand more. Remember, I'll again come back and give you a deeper clarity on this. Okay. What happens when you return like this? This all these three values are stored into tuple, and then that tuple is written back as one value. At the end, it returns this all these multiple values as one object, but as a tuple object. And what is this here? All these variables, whichever you are passing here, are first converted to a tuple, and that tuple is written back to the caller. You got it right? Maybe you don't understand much about it. Just remember enough. Now, what do you do? Finally, call these two methods. First one, you call first method. What is that? Addition here. Okay, calling addition. So what do you do here? Some addition. Okay, and then pass two values 10, 20. That is fine. Now, when you return a value from a function or a method, so you are calling this is fine. Assigning that result to some variable here is important. If a function is returning a value, this is a function call, right? This function call should be assigned to a variable. So some result one equal to, this is what you should do. When you should assign a function call to a variable, only if that function is returning some, if it is returning some result, if a function is returning some result, in such cases, what is that you should do? You should add this caller to that variable, to a variable. Not to add, you should assign, sorry. What is that you should do? You should assign this function call to a variable. Got it right? We are done with that. Second thing. Again, one more. Again, even second function is also returning values. So what is that you should do? Even the second function, we should assign to another variable here. Result2. Name this as result2. Got it right? This is what you should do. Remember, if any function is returning a value from that function, make sure you assign that caller to some variable here so that that result returned by that function, whatever function is returning, is stored into this temporary variables. Okay, stored into this variables. Got it right? So that's it, friends. Got it? Do one thing now. Finally, print it. Print. Okay, the result from function one or from addition is, you can simply say, sorry, addition is, okay. Put a placeholder dot. I just took some additional time. So let me finish this. Okay. Format. And then what is that you should do? You have to just print which one you should print result one. You should pass result one here. You can see to pass this. Okay. Similarly, what is that? Result from another function. What is that? The result from which one? Copy this generally. So now we cannot, we don't need again to type everything. Arith operations is print to this format function pass result to. If you have any confusion with this print statement using placeholders and how we are passing, just you can ask, you can stay back. I'll explain. I'll help you, or you can ask tomorrow as well, whenever you want. If you have any confusion, it is so simple. Okay. In this placeholder, this result one gets substituted. In this placeholder, this result two gets substituted. That's all. Right. This is very much flexible print statement if you are using placeholders. Finally, run this code now. So run this now. Now you can see here the first one is 30 because we are passing 10, 20. Even in the second case, we are passing 10, 20. Right? 10 plus 20, 30. See, you can see this all that values are stored into a tuple here. You can see. You can see a bracket at the start and end here. Right? That means this is a tuple. So this is what happens in Python. If you return multiple values, all that values are first stored into a tuple and that tuple is written back. If you ask me a question, I want to extract values from that tuple, what should I do? Don't worry. there is a detailed discussion about all these data structures from tomorrow onwards, because we are done with this. Okay, then definitely I'll show you how to extract element by element in tuple. Okay, all that stuff. Okay, and one more thing is we just need to understand these parameter types. That also I'll try to quickly describe. That is very important topic. Definitely, if you want to go for any Python certification, right? Then understanding about all that parameters is important. So after these sessions, trust me, if you are regularly following these sessions, you can also go for Python certification. Got it? You can also go for Python certification. That's it. One more important update for you, because we are covering in such a way that you can easily crack that certification after doing a little bit of practice. So that's all, friends. This is idea about this one. I think we tested the code and we are fine with output and everything, and program is working perfectly fine. Okay. So that's all, friends. This is the idea about what is it? Function.